USCJ, it's your boy Jakeem. Really appreciate what you're doing for USC culture, man. Keep going.
What's going on? Shout out USCJ, man. Appreciate the support. Shout out to USCJ. You know what it is. Nothing but love, man.
Trojan family, what's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. Listen, I hope everybody is getting ready to get up, get out, and make some things happen this morning. Listen, happy Monday to everybody. Look, we told you yesterday it was Victory Monday. Well, Sunday. Today is Victory Monday. Look, big shout out to everybody, man, who continues to tune into the channel. Make sure you guys, whenever you come on, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you hit that share button. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. I should be going live tonight or this evening. I'll double check that time. I'll post it on my Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. But I believe we'll probably be going around 4 p.m. Specific time. Eastern time would be 7 p.m. Me and B. Shaw, we try to tap in and do that on Mondays. You guys know, if you haven't checked, go check the show out from yesterday, Monday. It was a phenomenal show. Oh, real quick. Make sure you guys go to Hood, HOOD, HOOD_LTD.com. Go get one of these fire hats, man. Somebody told me they saw one of these hats in the bookstore yesterday, sitting right at the front. Make sure you go tap in with them. They're on Instagram as well. That's HOOD_LTD, and it's called Hood. They have these old throwback, I don't sell them, they sell them, but they have these old throwback John Robertson hats, and I think they're limited edition, man. They see they got the little pendant on the side. I like them, man, but it's HOOD_LTD Hood. And so, look, man, let's talk about USC. Let's talk about Coach Lincoln Riley. And there's something that crossed my mind when I was watching Jaden Mayava over the weekend. Of course, you guys know I stated this several times that he looks very poised. Jaden Mayava looks calm. Jaden Mayava looks collective. Jaden Mayava looks like the great facilitator right now. He looks like a guy that's moving and grooving. He looks like a guy that's very confident and a guy that doesn't lack confidence. And we talked about this on several occasions. And, I remember when Lincoln Riley made that change last year with Miller Moss. And my mind couldn't help but to go back and reflect back on that, because Miller Moss was a guy that absolutely, not only does Miller Moss get the ball out of his hands very quickly, Miller Moss knew the offense. So Miller Moss was just boom, boom, boom. He knew everywhere to go with the ball. And yes, he made some mistakes as it relates to the interceptions and all that, but it kind of felt tricky at the end of the year. Let's be honest. It felt tricky putting Jaden Mayava in there. Now, you guys know I was a big advocate. I said, look, last year, put Jaden Mayava in for packages, right? I talked about that all last year, and keep Miller Moss in. And I felt like it could kind of, work that way together with those two incredible athletes. However, you guys know how the story goes. You guys know how the season went. And Coach Lincoln Riley made that change. Now, here's what I'm going to say. And I said this last year, and I want to get into some of these numbers, because right now, for those who don't know, USC is leading the country right now in offense. We're going to talk about those numbers in a minute. But last year, I really felt like it was kind of like Lincoln Riley had to make a decision with Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams. I talked about that, probably how difficult the decision was, the level of comfortability that Lincoln Riley had at Oklahoma with a guy like Spencer Rattler, who then from Oklahoma, transferred, went to South Carolina, right? So he went to South Carolina, and then I believe got drafted by the New Orleans Saints, and I believe Spencer Rattler still right now with the Saints, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, Caleb Williams went on to play, you guys know, and get drafted by the Chicago Bears. However, that was a difficult decision. That was what I call an executive decision that Lincoln Riley had to make. Well, Lincoln Riley made an executive decision. He decided between the two. He decided that, look, I know it's going to be a difficult decision. I know it's going to push one to transfer. Now Miller Moss is coincidentally at Louisville, and he's doing good things over there. However, to have the ability, just to have the eye to be able to recognize, look, I'm going to go with the guy that I feel like is the hot guy. The same way he did with Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams. He said, I'm going to go with the guy that I feel like has the biggest upside. Both are phenomenal quarterbacks. Both are great talents. Both are going to go to the NFL. But I'm going to go with the guy that I feel like is going to give me the greatest chance to win. Now, coming into last year, once he made that switch, right? Lincoln Riley made the switch, and the switch happened. Jady Maiava went on to win that Nebraska game. He went on to win the UCLA games, but it was a little rocky. It was a little shaky, some of the decisions that were being made, some of the decisions that he was making. He went on to throw for 360 yards against Notre Dame. It was still a little rocky because of those 2 interceptions, but you saw the flashes. You saw the talent. You saw what Jady Maiava was able to do. You kind of see where Lincoln Riley was going with this. And then the Texas A&M game, we saw that. Rocky, super rocky in the beginning, the first half of the Texas A&M game. Second half of the game, those flashes came back. We saw a guy that could absolutely turn it on, a guy that's a winner. And I always say the difference between Jady Maiava and Miller Moss appeared to start the games right, mistake-free and start off well last year, whereas Jady Maiava last year didn't start so well, but then he knew how to close out games. And I think the comparing and contrast, it seems like that kind of edged him out. And Jady Maiava's, he's a winner. I think guy's a winner, but he's a close. I'll say that. And then come to find out after the spring, now you see he's up to right now, and now we see a situation where Jady Maiava fully knows the offense, is fully comfortable, he's fully acclimated to everything. He knows his teammates better. Now we got a product that's a little bit different, that's a little bit more calm, a little bit more collective. And now we say, look, man, we're talking about a guy that could possibly win a Heisman Trophy if this keeps up. Listen, on Saturday, USC put up 755 yards. 755 yards. Passing yards, 446. I think Jady Maiava had 414. And rushing yards, of course, the 309. But this offense looks like the Oklahoma offense that Lincoln Riley used to have. You guys know Lincoln Riley used to have those phenomenal offenses in the Big 12, putting up crazy points. These points right now that USC putting up is absolutely insane. You talking about 70 for one game? I don't care. And look, I don't care if it's Missouri just beat Marshall. Then Marshall team, Georgia didn't even put 45 points. They put 45 points on. They didn't even put 50 points. Missouri State beat that team, a division. We're not celebrating about their team, but you got to look at the pieces. You got to look at the read between the lines. And then this Georgia State team, led by Clay Helton. And I think that's a team that's and shout out to my thought, just lost my thought. But I think a Georgia State team that's very crafty, that Clay Helton came in there. He wanted to put on a good performance. But however, USC just out-athlete them. They had better athletes. They had better performers. And at the end of the day, it was nothing they could do about it. Jacoby Lane making crazy acrobatic catches with one hand, essentially almost like a Kyron Hudson catch last year where he did that type of deal. And then Makai Lemon just absolutely just made some runs that he just didn't want to be denied. And then, of course, you got King Miller. He's doing it all over again. And, of course, all of our running backs, Jordan doing a phenomenal job. Eli Sanders, all of these guys bring different types of style to this running back. And then looking at Harry Dalton, the true freshman, look, he looked like he was moving and grooving, like getting cracking with it. And so, look, man, you guys give me the comments. And so, look, to question Lincoln Riley, and I said this last year, one thing I won't do, I won't question Lincoln Riley as far as your quarterback decision. You might question about some other things, why we didn't run as much as we should have last year. We could have probably won the Washington game, could have probably won the Minnesota game, could have won the Penn State game. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think those were games that were right in hand for us. However, we flip now, and I told you guys just the other day. Remember, I told you guys, don't forget where you guys heard this. I told you guys, I said, listen, I have intel that says to me, told me that USC and Lincoln Riley are going to be running the ball a lot more. Are we not seeing the run? 309 yards running. That is a incredible stat. and you look at the running backs, I guess Lincoln Riley said, you know what? I'm going to get 5 running backs. I'm going to get all these running backs. I'm not only going to have the walk-on King Miller. I'm not only going to have Harry Dalton, these guys, and Riley Wormley that we're bringing in, but I'm going to have King Miller. I'm going to have Wayman Jordan. I'm going to give me another back, 2 from the portal, Eli Sanders, and of course we got Brian Jackson. We're going to make sure that we're going to be able to run the rock regardless. Anybody gets nicked up, we still got that insurance policy. We still got extra backs. And all of them, in my opinion, bring something to the table. You know how in some positions, I'm not saying on this particular team, but sometimes backups, you get a major drop-off. I don't see any drop-off with a lot of these guys, man. I actually thought Harry Dalton, when he turned that corner and went up the sideline, the right-hand side, I thought that was Wayman Jordan because of the hair and all that, and he had the 2 on his, but I think it was 2.5. And so when I saw 2.5 as opposed to 2, I said, oh, that's somebody else. And I realized that was Harry Dalton. That's my first time really seeing him get down like that. And man, Harry Dalton for a true freshman is extremely fast. But let me get back to the topic at hand. The topic at hand is this. Lincoln Riley is the quarterback guru. Lincoln Riley knows exactly what he's doing. I will never question Lincoln Riley as it relates to quarterbacks. If anybody didn't learn their lesson, I hope they learn their lesson now. And that's not to say Jaden Mayava won't make any mistakes. That's not saying that he's mistake-free, but it is saying that, look, Lincoln Riley knows what he's doing, and he's confident in what he's doing. And I think that when you talk about quarterbacks, come on, man. Let's don't question Lincoln Riley about the quarterback. Now, that's my thoughts on that, man. You guys can drop the comments. You guys can tell me what you think. You guys know where you can find me. It's USCJ32 on Instagram. It's USCJ32 on Twitter. Now, we got to get into something, man, that really disturbed my spirit over the weekend. And that is this top 25. Now, I understand a lot of people going to say, Jay, it don't matter. And you're right. It doesn't matter. And I think in some cases, I think USC can absolutely benefit off this. They could be fueled off this. But at the end of the day, man, when you talk about this top 25, and I'm trying to pull it up right now because I thought I had it. But when you talk about this top 25 and some of the things that happened, Alabama still in the top 25. They're moving Oklahoma up. I mean, all of these different things. Real quick, let me get back to this point because I forgot to tell you guys from an offensive perspective when I get into this. Let me get into this real quick because I went through my notes and I saw this just now. I told you guys that USC is leading in the country right now from offense. USC is number 1 at 1,352 yards right now. And yeah, that's where they're at. Tennessee's coming in at number 2 at 1,210 yards. Texas Tech, number 3 at 1,209 yards. Arkansas is coming at 1,182 yards. Missouri is coming in at 1,155 yards. Ole Miss is coming in at 1,150 yards. Georgia Tech, 1,143. Washington coming in at 1,137. Oregon, 1,137. FSU, 1,111. Indiana at 1,095. Appalachian State, 1,088. And Baylor, 1,084. So USC, it's a huge gap. They're all the way at the top at 1,352 yards in 2 games played. I think that's speaking to the old Lincoln Riley moving and grooving. So real quick, if I can find it, I don't know why I'm so lost in the sauce right now. I thought I had it. Here it is. The top 25. Man, this is just some foolishness, man. I'm just going to go over a couple of these. I really don't even. Ohio State 1. You guys give me the comments, man. You guys can tell me what you think about this, but Penn State is 2. Georgia 3. LSU is 4. Oregon 5. Miami 6. 7 is Texas. Notre Dame 8. Illinois 9. South Carolina 10. Clemson 11. Florida State 12. And I'm just looking like BYU number 25, Arizona State 24, UCF. Come on, man. I really don't even want to go through that because at the end of the day, man, I know we have to win our games. But to me, my complaint about the top 25 is the margin of error when you talk about the top 25 is crazy. When you talk about just being all the way ranked out of the top 25. And it's just a level of respect. Now, I do know that the CFP, once they come in, I think it's the 4th or 5th week, once they come in and start making that official ranking, I know it's not going to matter. But at the end of the day, man, I think all those things a lot of times influence stuff, and the margin of error for us, like if we were to lose just any game, it's not like Alabama who just moved down, or Clemson who was still in the top 10 or the top 15 once they lost at home against the LSU team that kind of struggled against Louisiana Tech over the weekend. I think they won 21-0 or 23-0 like that, or something like that. I don't know, man. I just think it's a bias. It's a level of bias, and I think it's crazy, man. So look, you guys can drop me in the comments, man. You guys tell me what you think. Listen, we are almost to 8,000. We need about 80 to reach 8,000. I need everybody that comes on. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that share button, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm out of here, man. Until later on, listen, everybody stay blessed. Fight on, fight on, fight on.